Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today's topic is one that I think we all can relate to. It's brushing versus flossing. Which one is like really the MVP for healthy gums?
The age-old debate, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we've
Yeah.
got some great excerpts from brushing and flossing, prioritizing gum health to help us break it all down.
Awesome.
I think we all know we should be doing both, brushing and flossing, but let's get real. Why is it so important? And maybe we'll uncover some stuff we didn't know along the way.
Yeah, I'm all for busting some myths.
Right.
Yep.
So maybe let's start with brushing because I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of the one everyone's familiar with, but maybe there's more to it than we realize.
Yeah, definitely. We often think of brushing and flossing as these chores that we have to do, but
Yeah,
when you actually understand what's happening, like in our mouths, it gets a lot more interesting.
totally. So like with brushing, what's the big deal? What's going on there?
Well, think of brushing as like your first line of defense against all the gunk that builds up in your mouth throughout the day. Okay.
It's like sweeping the floor, you're getting rid of all that surface level stuff, the plaque and bacteria.
Okay, so we're talking plaque here, but is plaque really like, is it really that bad for you? I mean,
Oh, it's worse than you think.
really?
Yeah, so plaque is this sticky film and it's full of bacteria.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, and these bacteria, they basically feed on the sugars that we eat and they release acids.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and those acids, they attack your tooth enamel, which can lead to cavities.
I knew that part.
Yeah, but even before you get cavities, those acids can irritate and inflame your gums, and that's how you get gingivitis.
Oh, gingivitis. I've always wondered, like, what causes that?
Yeah, gingivitis is basically the first stage of gum disease, and while it is reversible, it's definitely a sign that you need to step up your oral hygiene game.
Okay. No kidding.
Because if you leave it untreated, it can actually progress to periodontitis, which is a much more serious form of gum disease.
Okay, I'm starting to see why brushing is so important, but I'm guessing flossing has, like, its own role to play in all of this, right? Oh, absolutely. Flossing is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So imagine all those tiny little spaces between your teeth where your toothbrush just can't reach. That's where flossing comes in.
Okay.
It's like cleaning the grout between tiles. You need the right tool for the job.
So it's like a specialized cleaning crew that gets into all the nooks and crannies.
Exactly. Flossing disrupts all the plaque and bacteria that's hiding in those hard to reach spots.
Okay.
And this is key because those hidden areas, they're often the starting point for serious gum infections and even gum recession, which nobody wants.
No, definitely not. Receding gums are not a good look.
No, so flossing is really more important than a lot of people think.
Okay. I'm convinced. But I gotta say, sometimes flossing feels like such a struggle. Like any tips to make it a little easier?
I hear you on that traditional string floss. It can be tricky.
Yeah.
So that's where other options like water flossers or interdental brushes can come in handy.
Oh, okay. So there's like other tools we can use.
Yeah, they can be easier to maneuver and just as effective at removing plaque.
So we've got options. Good to know. But is there like a specific type of floss that's better than others?
Well, it really depends on your needs and preferences. Some people find waxed floss glides more easily, while others prefer unwaxed floss.
Yeah.
And then for people with braces or bridges, there's specialized floss with stiffer ends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about finding what works best for you.
Makes sense. Like choosing the right tool for the job, just on a smaller scale.
Right.
Okay. But before we all go out and buy like every type of floss on the market, maybe we should talk about like how to actually floss correctly because I'm not even sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Technique matters.
Yeah,
We'll dive into that in the next part of our deep dive.
perfect. I need all the help I can get. All right, so we know flossing is important, but let's be honest, like how many of us actually floss every single day? I know I've definitely skipped it a few times, so what's the worst that can happen if you like slack off a little bit?
Well, remember all that plaque we talked about? Yeah. If you don't remove it regularly, it can actually harden into tartar, which is basically like this calcified deposit that clings to your teeth.
So it's like plaque's evil twin, even harder to get rid of.
Exactly. And brushing alone won't get rid of tartar. You
Yeah.
need a professional cleaning for that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And here's where things get serious. If tartar builds up below the gum line, it creates this perfect environment for even more harmful bacteria to grow.
Oh.
And this can actually lead to the breakdown of the tissues and bones that support your teeth and eventually...
Oh, no, don't tell me we're talking tooth loss.
Yeah, you got it. And losing teeth isn't just about aesthetics.
Right.
It can affect your ability to chew properly, your speech, even your self-confidence.
Okay, wow. I am officially convinced flossing is non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
But Aside from the whole tooth loss thing, are there any like early warning signs that we're not flossing enough or that something's up?
Absolutely. One of the most common signs is bleeding gums.
Okay.
If your gums bleed when you brush or floss, that's a red flag that something's not right. It's a sign of inflammation, and if you ignore it, it could lead to gingivitis or even worse.
So it's not just something to brush off, literally.
Nope, definitely not. Another thing to watch out for is persistent bad breath even after brushing.
Okay.
While there are lots of things that can cause bad breath if it's chronic and you're pretty good about your oral hygiene, it could be a sign of a gum infection.
Interesting. So paying attention to our breath can actually tell us something about our gum health.
Exactly. And lastly, keep an eye out for any changes in the appearance of your gums,
Okay.
like redness, swelling, tenderness, or if you notice your gums are receding, that's definitely a sign to see your dentist.
So basically, any changes, we should get it checked out.
Exactly. Early detection is key when it comes to gum health.
Okay, that makes total sense. But now I'm thinking about all those years I might have been flossing wrong. Like, is there a right way to do it?
There is, and it's more important than you think. We'll get into all the details in the next part of our deep dive, and make sure you're flossing like a pro.
Okay, we're back for round 3 of our brushing versus flossing battle. And I think it's time to finally, like, get down to the nitty-gritty, the technique. Because, um, honestly, I'm not even sure I've been flossing correctly all these years.
You know, you're not alone there. A lot of people are surprised when they learn the proper technique because it's not as simple as just sawing back and forth between your teeth.
Okay, there's more to it than that. So what am I missing?
The key is to be gentle and thorough. You want to imagine you're giving each tooth a little hug with the floss.
Okay, hugging the teeth, got it. But, like, how far below the gum line should we actually be going?
That's a great question. You want to go just far enough to feel a slight resistance, but not so far that it hurts or causes bleeding.
Wow.
If you're not sure, just ask your dentist or hygienist. They can show you exactly what to do.
Okay, that's good advice. I'll definitely be asking at my next checkup. But so we've got the hugging motion down. What else is important?
So make sure you're using a clean section of floss for each tooth. Don't be stingy with it. And be patient. It takes a bit of practice, but it gets easier over time. The key is to make it a consistent habit.
Right, yeah. Consistency is key. Speaking of habits, we talked earlier about all the different types of floss. Do you have a personal favorite?
You know, I'm a big fan of water flossers,
Oh, yeah.
especially for people with braces, bridges, or tight spaces between their teeth.
Okay.
That pulsating water stream really does a great job of flushing out all the debris and bacteria.
So it's like a power washer for your teeth.
Kinda.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, the best type of floss is the one that you'll actually use consistently. So experiment and find what works best for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not about finding the perfect method. It's about finding what you can stick with. Okay, so I think we've covered all the flossing basics. But before we wrap up, let's go back to our original question, brushing versus flossing. Now that we've talked about both, which one do you think is more important for gum health?
You know, it's not really about picking a winner. They're both essential parts of good oral hygiene. Think of brushing as like setting the stage, removing all that surface level plaque and debris.
Okay, so brushing is like the opening act.
Exactly. And then flossing comes in as the headliner, getting into those hard to reach areas that brushing misses and preventing gum disease before it even starts.
I like that analogy. They each have their own role to play.
Exactly. And the best part is they're both relatively easy habits to incorporate into your daily routine. It just takes a little effort and consistency.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, learned so much about brushing and flossing. But the biggest takeaway for me is that they're not enemies. They're actually partners in keeping our gums healthy and our smiles bright.
Absolutely. And remember, a healthy mouth is connected to your overall health and well-being. So those good habits are an investment in your future.
That's a great point. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of oral hygiene. We hope you learned something new and feel empowered to take charge of your gum health. Until next time, keep brushing, keep flossing, and keep smiling.